Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a good week. Now welcome to my Revenant Spear PvP guide. So the itinerary for today is I will be talking all about the spear, giving you all the information you need to know, different combos and ways you can use the skills. Then I'll be going into a couple different ways you can build your Revenant to use the spear. And last but not least, I have some gameplay examples where I'll do some commentary and show you a couple different ways that you can actually play it. So sit yourself down for a nice long watch. We're in for a good video today, and if you are new here, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything. I upload 4K PvP content just about every week. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. So let's talk about the spear skills and their combos. Now the auto attack is a ranged and melee attack, which does some torment and vulnerability and has a good little bit of damage on it. Now, what's mostly notable is that there is an Abyssal Raise cooldown reduction on the auto attack. Abyssal Raise being the 5 skill. So if you're hitting your auto attacks, you will be kind of naturally regenerating your 5 skill, which is really handy. The 2 skill is a ranged attack, 600 range, which is really nice damage. Big burn with a chill on top, and also a nice power damage modifier. 500 base damage on this on top of the 3000 base burn. That's a lot of damage, and you can also cast it while running away. Very strong skill. This is probably my favorite skill on the entire weapon. Very handy. Tons of use cases for it. The 3 is a movement skill, an evade, and it makes these sort of what do you call these, sort of depth charges. Now there's a whole bunch of different ways that you could use this skill, obviously for escape and mobility, but one that I don't see people using too much is when you're playing on a node, you can cast these and then you can kind of play inside of them to give yourself a little bit of anti-melee so that when people come to pressure you, they take the damage from them like that. So that's one way that I recommend using that, is when you're on that node, using these and then playing inside of them. Also on down body, it's really handy. The 4 now is a pull, of course, and it also does damage. I don't know, they said they weren't going to do CCs that have any damage on them. Well, here's one. For some reason it's there. This skill is very strong. It is a pull. It gives poison, which is anti-heal, and chill, which Ellies really hate. And it's also a dark field. So you can combo this with the 5, because the 5 is a blast, so you go 4, and then 5, and you get blindness. You blind your enemy if you do that combo. So that makes it so that you're just a little bit tankier. If you're spamming that blind, you know, you're going to be avoiding some of their hits. 4 is very strong. Much like the 2, it can be used while running away. It can be casted freely. And the 5 is the sort of infamous PvE skill, the one that's been kind of doing insane numbers. It's not the very best in PvP, and let me show you why. If you happen to be auto-attacking and you cast the 5, the weapon will prioritize finishing the auto-attack before it wants to cast the 5, and so this can be a little bit clunky and a little bit hard to land. The damage is good. I don't want to sound like it's not good, but the issue is that sometimes actually lining it up on enemies that are moving and dodging and juking can be hard. So it requires a little bit of setup, a little bit of finesse. So you can do the 4 and 5 combo. You can use the glint wings to push them and then glint 5. If there's ever a downed body, downed enemy body, you can spam this and get the body and also the resers. So it's a good skill, but it's a little bit clunky and hard to land. So it requires a little bit of setup, and you want to be careful when you're using it. Don't just spam it, you know, not thinking. Be patient and be thoughtful with your uses of this, and you will find great success with it. So that is the skills. I'm oftentimes reluctant to show builds in my guides because builds get buffed and nerfed and go out of style, but I want my guides to be useful for a long amount of time. So please, when you're looking at the traits, don't look too closely at the individual things, because if you're watching this a few months from now, this may not be the best. But I want to kind of give you an idea of some things that you can pick. So corruption works really well with Condi Rev. If you're going to be playing any kind of Condi Rev, you're going to want the corruption trait line most of the time. And the second slot is going to be sort of your flex slot. There's a couple different good picks. Invocation can work, Retribution works very nicely, or if you want to do a tankier build, you can go Salvation. So Salvation is going to be your kind of tankiest line, and you can do something like this or like this. Retribution works very well, and also this is going to give you a good amount of damage and boons. And if you're playing Herald, I do recommend this line, because this line is going to give you a lot of boons like Might, Resolution, Vigor, and that is going to synergize quite well with Herald, where you get extra boon, extra damage per boon on yourself. Invocation does work too, and also you don't necessarily have to play Herald. A lot of top revs are actually playing a sort of hybrid Spear Vindicator, where you could take something like this, and you could run either Retribution or Salvation, and you're also free to swap the secondary weapon. If you're playing sort of an all-in damage build, you'd probably like the staff. But if you're playing a tanky build that has a lot of survivability built into its kit, then you may want to consider taking a mace and shield instead to kind of make it more of an all-rounder. So that's going to be kind of the end of the build talk. I don't like to include too much about builds in the guides, because I want it to be more about the gameplay than about the build. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about how you can build your own. I don't think that this build is sort of solved yet. I see so many different variants of this build played. I've got ones that I like, and I know that people have got their own ones that they like. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Okay, we've officially made it to the gameplay portion of the video. I wanted to showcase one of my favorite uses of this Mallyx leap. Now, the Necro port's up, and I use the Mallyx leap on my X skill here, I forget the name, to pull him down off the ledge. I love using it for this skill. There's a lot of maps like this map, Forest, there's also Coliseum, where people are up on ledges. You can pull them down, and it works really, really well. Feels good every time. And now I wanted to showcase a sort of damage combo here. So you can use the Glint Wings to ensure that your spear skills land. So I go spear 4, 5, 3, last skill uses a 2, and that's enough to get sort of the one-shot combo. So there's a good example of a damage chain, and a really good way to use that Mallyx leap. So the first game I wanted to showcase here is using Mallyx, and this is sort of the more DPS-focused, higher Connie damage version of the build. If you take Mallyx, you're really good in team fights. So I open with the Spear 4 to pull them all in, and then I use my Glint Wings and Facet Elements to get some CC and damage. And my teammates follow up that Reaper, and so I hang back and I fight this Guardian Mesmer combo 2v1. You do quite well against Guardians when you are on Condi Rev, so I am able to burst him down, and so that goes really, really nicely. And we get that down secured, and so I move into the node and watch this. So you can use the F2 on Mallyx to transfer conditions. So see all those conditions on my bar, I can transfer them over to the enemy and off of my bar. So it's a really, really handy, useful, strong skill on Mallyx, something that you can use. And once I do that, I'm just taking a commanding position of the node and taking on anybody who wants to try and sustain through a Condi Rev, because we do a lot of damage right now. Now I cut these gameplays down just a bit, just in the interest of time. I don't want to make a 40-minute video, so engage with some CC like before here. He has a stability stack, so wait for that to go down and then try and use my Glint Wings, but I get stunned. And you're pretty good at locking people down. The Necro runs behind us, and so I follow him up with my team and whittle him down and just have barely enough survivability to stay alive for that one. Speaking of survivability, the Mesmer ganks me from stealth, and so basically in a scenario like this, the object of the game is just to survive their burst, like I did there, and then do a counter attack. So I get a CC, and then I swap to the spear, get another CC, and then do a counter attack, and that's how you can kind of survive getting ganked by high damage builds like Mesmer or Thief or something like that. And up against the tanky Condi Ranger, I like fighting him because I can throw his conditions back onto him. I yoink him with the Mallyx leap and then hit him with another CC with the spear. You are most dangerous when you are making good use out of your CCs. you have a lot of CC on this build, and so you want to make use of it. Here, we've seen it already, but here's another great example of using your CC to generate those kills. You want to be seeking out those big fights and making sure that your teammates can lay down damage on the enemy by CCing them, but you yourself do good damage too. So that's kind of the I've said this before, but I think that one of the things that separates sort of the wheat from the chaff when it comes to Revenant players is very strong Revenants will make very good use out of their CC skills. Maybe intermediate, maybe novice Revenants aren't so familiar with them, and they just try and do big damage. I just wanted to showcase this here real quick. You can do the beasts on the forest map extremely quickly. You can get about 15-20 stacks of torment on them, and then they go down in probably less than 5 seconds. And you can see I have not lost really much health at all, and that's the end of the first game. And the Mallyx build. So here I've swapped over to Shiro. This is perfectly playable. This is more of a Condi plus power hybrid build, and this plays a lot very similar to regular Power Herald. So this is probably the comfiest version for me as a power rev enjoyer. Going into the team fight, you know, you pick somebody and then you want to basically harass them with CC. So I'll land another CC on this guy, and then he gets CC'd by my teammates, and then I CC again, and finally he goes down to my Condis, and that is great. You want to be seeking out those targets that you can be bullying. You do very well against Ellies, you do quite well against Guardians. You don't want other Revenants to be free casting on your team, so you kind of want to focus other Revenants too. That being said, if you see me, don't focus me, please. So we jump over to the Mesmer and grab a quick kill on him. So, really good opener, but we have lost the map. We're up against 2 Spear Spellbreakers. So this is kind of how this game is going to go with us losing on the side nodes. Now I see a enemy Spear Revenant, so I'm going to let him use some skills and then do a bit of a counterattack. I missed my CC, he dodges that quite nicely, but he uses his shield 5, so I'm just going to sit here and wait. And look what ends up killing him actually. It was power damage, it was enchanted daggers that ended up killing him, it was not the conditions. So that's a little example of the fact that this build does good power damage. It's not only Condi, it really is a true hybrid build. I'd say it's more condition than power, but the fact that you can sort of hit them with those conditions and also the power damage at the same time is really good. So at this point I've got both of the enemy Revenants hunting me down, and so I'm just getting towards my teammates here to hopefully get a little bit of a peel. And then I double back and go for the terrain, try and do a little kite, and hopefully they stay on the node, and luckily they do. And so I get out and I run away using my impossible odds for movement. And I'm going towards mid just because I'm completely out of everything because I was surviving 2v1 for so long, but sadly the enemy Revenant is behind me, and I've got my enchanted daggers up, so I want to get some hits on him to get the dagger procs for the healing. And just trading some damage, I dodge his wings and his knockbacks. I W out of his Spear 4, but I do get caught by his Mallyx leap. And so we're just kind of trading CCs. I'm trying to get some momentum because I was very low, and I get ganked as well by a Spellbreaker with the sword, and he instantly rampages, so I'm very scared. And I'm just timing my CCs and my movement skills and everything. And watch this, as I'm running away, I can still put the pressure on the enemy Rev even though I'm completely running away. So that was a good example of survivability. You know, I was pressured that whole time by multiple people, and I was able to survive. Speaking of pressured by multiple people and able to survive, I really like this clip here. I took maybe a not advisable duel against the Spellbreaker. I don't think that that was the right duel to take. However, the enemy Mesmer ganks me while I'm kind of going for this duel, and so I need to survive. I need to get out. I also don't want to die while I've got the sword buff up, because then that's robbing my teammates of a damage modifier. So I'm just trying to survive here. You got to dodge that Spear 4. Holy oppressive. And get a quick dodge through, another dodge, and I use my Spear 3. And now I've got Rising Momentum from the F2, and then I swap it for the Impossible Odds speed boost. And somehow I luckily managed to get away. You may see me randomly dodge at some points. I'm actually doing it for Alacrity. I've been really enjoying the River Relic on this build. The one where you get Alacrity just a little bit when you dodge. So sometimes you may see me dodge absolutely nothing, and that's probably why. I'm probably just getting a little bit of alacrity to get some cooldowns back. So I see that they are rezzing this down body, so I come back here and I drop the spear nuke, the 4-5 combo with the 2 as well. And just about drop the other Rev. There he goes. Okay, finally. And off that, just looking for my team. We want to make sure that we're keeping each other alive. And watch this. The Mesmer's here. And I kill him with power damage. You see on the kill feed on the right, it was actually the Spear 3 that killed him. It was not conditions. So there was another example of that power damage coming in clutch. And we ended up winning that game 497 to 500. And that was a good one. Last but not least, we've got one more here where I'm playing the Shiro variant one more time. I think both variants are strong. The sort of full Condi damage is quite nice, but I think this hybrid version is my very, very favorite. Now, I'm always looking out for LAs because you do quite well against LAs because of the amount of chill that you do. So I'm always looking out for them and looking to target them. I used my kind of signature opening split there because you can watch from below the mid node, and now I'm just chasing this Ellie down and trying to secure this kill. You don't really love 1v1s on this build. Like, I think that you give the most impact to your team when you're in those big team fights and laying down big CC, big damage, big cleave. So here we are, we've got a nice big team fight, and you see this warrior tries to escape, but I'm able to chase him and follow it up with the phase traversal and get this down. Sadly, my team does not back me up, and so I need to run away, and I need to surrender that. I've got my glint heal still though, so I'm doing just fine. I pop it because I thought that the grenade barrage was coming from the scrapper, but he fooled me. Well played by him. So I keep on running here, and I'm going to try and plus this fight real quick. I don't really want to do like a full commit, but if I can just quickly settle this duel and then move on, then that would be great. Even if I can just like leave him at 5% health for my Ellie to deal with, then that would be really, really nice. So we have to dodge some of the traps and stuff, and I want to sit in them once I've got my glint heal up, so I sit in them when I've got that up, and then we get the kill there. Rotating back around to the mid node now, looking for a target that you can port into. But my Ellie back there calls target. I'm not sure what exactly happened. I think maybe the enemy Ellie maybe rotated through our spawn to this node, so I come back to help him because he called that target. And this is a 2v2. I like 2v2s. This is a good fight for me to take, especially when the enemy Ellie is involved. So I come to this fight, and as you can see, I'm really just targeting the Ellie. You just kind of got to know your matchups a little bit, and whenever there's something that your build does well against, you want to try and force that matchup. Now, another enemy arrives, and so I need to kind of make my way out here. The Ellie's chasing me up, but I don't really mind that too much. And I'm able to get away, and I'm looking to peel for my friend, but he's already died. So I'm low starting this fight. As you can see, I'm below 10,000 HP, and this is a scrapper with nades, so he has potential to do a very big power burst on me, so I need to respect that. And this is where sometimes your staff can come into play, is when you need to sustain through a big power burst like that. But he doesn't really get an opportunity 1v1 because my teammate comes in. And so I'm just going to flip this node and trust that my teammate can deal with that fight. And meanwhile, I have another teammate here that I need to peel for. And so I peel the Guardian off of my teammate by using the Jade Winds on Shiro. And here comes the Scrapper from behind. I use my Glint Heal to negate his burst. And then I follow up the Dragon Hunter. You do quite well against Guardians. I mentioned this previously, but you do indeed do quite well against them. Now here's a big mistake coming up by me. I think, okay, if we can bleed him out, then I will focus on this team fight. But the enemy Soul Beast comes over here to start the res. And I get knocked off. I should have called a target here to alert my team that, like, hey, I've got a kill over here. If one person comes and helps me, we can totally secure this. But I did not, and because of that, he does end up getting the res because I didn't get my glint heal off in time, and my teammates are just kind of doing their own little thing. So a little cut away from past the death timer, and we're fighting 2v2 again against the Ellie and the warrior. I like this fight again because the Ellie's here, and so I'm actually seeing that the warrior is taking a lot of damage. He's playing Bladesworn, which is not a good build right now, so I can definitely pressure him and follow him up. He runs away, but he jumps down, and so this becomes a free kill for me, so I go ahead and take that real quick. I think I may have accidentally used my Spear 4 there. And when you poured in, I like to engage using Spear 2 and Spear 4, so I poured in on the Ellie and used that Spear 2. And the Scrapper comes up. He runs away because I'm quite tanky on this build. And we're just going to secure this Ellie here. Looking good. Ellie's secured, so moving back to mid. Poured in on the Guardian, dodge the traps, of course. Anytime you see a Dragon Hunter sitting on a node, just assume that they are sitting on 12 different traps and they're going to make your day really, really bad. So CC again there. I used the Jade Winds to get that kill. Porting in over to my teammate. See, I'm immediately engaging with the CC, and that's able to pull the Ellie off of him. I'm going to keep saying it and saying it and saying it, but really where this build excels is its ability to lay down that CC. I don't really have much here. I maybe could have started with the Jade Winds. I got my Spear 4 off, but jumping in this team fight, I'm going to look to use my Glint Heal in all of these traps and stuff, but I never really go down low enough to consider using it, so I hang on to it. You need to be selective and picky with the times in which you use it. So I go down a little bit here health-wise, so I do end up popping that, and trading some damage with the Bladesworn here. We just down him, no big deal. Coming back to the team fight. Again, looking for my CC to come up. There it is. He does have stability, but it is an Ellie, so we can grind him down and get that kill. The warrior over here is getting rezzed, so I need to divert my attention back over here. They do end up getting that res, but that's okay, because we ended up winning the rest of the big fight. Dodge the longbow 5 from the Guardian, and then get on him, because if you remember, we do quite well against those Guardians, and we can pressure him. So, I'm in the traps, I don't like that. Pop my Glint Heal to get some healing, and my team is slowly but surely getting ground down and dying, so I need to pull out at this point. We are 2v4, and so I need to leave. We don't, just because we lost the fight, doesn't mean that everybody's got to die. And so, I start moving away. If I can split this warrior off into a 1v1 scenario, I actually like my odds against him. So that's what I'm looking to do. But look, it's my friend the Ellie who comes anyways. So I poured in and 2, engage with the 2. And now I am looking to get a good use of my Glint Heal to get some healing. And I get a great use of it. I get over 10,000 healing off of it. And we're just on the node, trading blows, laying down some condies, laying down some CC. Swap to Shiro here, looking for probably a port, and we get that on the Ellie. Port into the 2, that's a really good combo, port into the 2. Just like when you're on dual swords on Power Herald, you can do the port and then sword 2. And then the Ellie just kind of gets left by his whole team. I feel a bit sad for him, but his whole team just ran away, so he ends up falling down. But they've returned just in time for a outnumbered fight in favor of my team. So we can pressure this Guardian here. He falls to conditions. I just pop down here just to get a good stack of maybe Torment on him so that he will not be rezzed. But there's more enemies rolling in, and so I need to divert my attention back to the node, because the most important thing is winning these fights. If I can make that happen, then we will win the game. And speaking of win the game, there is the win. Top kills, top damage, and this one ended up being 1536. So that's pretty good, I think. So that's the end of the gameplay. Well, folks, this is the end of another guide video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making this one. The spear is an interesting weapon. I think I'd still rather be playing Power Herald, but you know what? Hybrid Herald isn't too bad. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Couple little Fireside updates to the channel here. I am still thinking about making a guild and Discord server, so if anybody is interested in helping run that sort of thing, that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I don't really want to be like a one-man show, and I'm kind of new with all this stuff, so if anybody's interested or experienced this kind of thing and would be interested in helping me run that thing, please reach out to me. I'd really like to hear from you. And finally, I've created a little PayPal link the same way that Twitch streamers do, so if anybody wants to send me like a small tip, that would be the way to do so. And if anybody chooses to do so, I will certainly shout you out in my very next video as a thank you. So that's all for me for updates for this week, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next week.